20 years ago, the Georgia Bulldogs, led by legendary coach Vince Dooley and eventual Heisman Trophy winner Herschel Walker, made a return to the Sugar Bowl. They came with a #1 ranking and as defending national champions. That same year, Bobby Bowden led his Florida State Seminoles to a Gator Bowl win. And on that rainy night began a record streak of consecutive bowl appearances that continues this evening. Across the field tonight, facing his longtime mentor, is Georgia head coach Mark Richt. A Bobby Bowden disciple, he leads Georgia to its first Sugar Bowl appearance in 2 decades. The offense is led by a terrific trio: quarterback David Greene, tailback Musa Smith, and wide receiver Terence Edwards. The duo of Boss Bailey and David Pollock are the leaders of a dog defense that punished SEC offenses on a weekly basis. For the Florida State Seminoles, it's been a season of ups and downs. The kick on the way. He missed it. One left. Tonight, Florida State comes to the Louisiana Superdome without some of their usual weapons, but they still have an explosive offense led by wide receiver Anquan Bolden and are ready with a full bag of tricks. Tonight, it's the champions of the SEC, the Georgia Bulldogs, against the champions of the ACC, the Florida State Seminoles, in the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. Outside the Louisiana Superdome, it's been a long wait for the Dogs and the Noles to play for their fans for a variety of reasons. It's been a long day. But the Seminole and Georgia faithful have turned the French Quarter into their personal paradise. And Georgia, the #3 team in the country, is the home team. You can tell by the red and black in this building. It looks like Athens West. 3 years ago, both head coaches were on the same sideline. Tonight, they're on opposite sidelines. Down on the field, third man in our team, Lynn Swan, with our 2 head coaches tonight.
I'm with the 2 head coaches for tonight's ball game, Bobby Bowden here at Florida State and Mark Richt at Georgia. And Coach Bobby Bowden, I'm going to start with you. Are you surprised that you're playing against Mark so quick in the BCS bowl game?
It took me 40 dadgum years. He does it too. Can you believe it?
I can believe it. You helped coach this young man. Now, I know you're happy, Mark, the fact that you've got Georgia back in the championship football.
Right.
But tell me emotionally how it feels to have to face your mentor, Bobby Bowden, in this ball game.
Well, it's a little awkward. I used to wear the garnet gold, you know, so during pregame it'll be a little awkward. I'm sure at the end of the game when we shake hands it'll feel kind of funny, but I just enjoyed being around Coach Bowden.
Now, you guys know each other so well. Is there one thing you can share with us right now that you think the other person is thinking about in this ball game?
He's thinking about that out route. I've watched him all year, and I can just about predict when he's going to throw the out. You know, when he needs a first down, you know. And so Mickey had been going at it for 15 years. You know, they'll know a lot about each other.
What do you think Bobby's got going through his head?
I don't know, but it looks like we better run the out and up.
Well, listen, guys, I know this is going to be an exciting ball game for both of you, and you're glad you're playing against each other because what you both have shown each other through the course of your careers is the ultimate amount of respect. Congratulations to both of you being here. Let's go back upstairs to Brad Nestle.
So tonight, it's the old man and the young gun. Despite what some consider a subpar record, they are the Atlantic Coast Conference champions, the Seminoles of Florida State. It's the 3rd-ranked Georgia Bulldogs and #14 Florida State in the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl from the Superdome in New Orleans. And it's been a long wait for the Dogs, 20 years. They're finally back in New Orleans, and they are the SEC champions. Now, hi again, everybody. Brad Nestle with Bob Greasy. Welcome to New Orleans and Happy New Year to all of you. It's been a very happy year for the Georgia Bulldogs and their fans. A long wait, Grease, 20 years to get back here. And really, you look at these 2 teams and you look at their records, and they'd normally be flip-flopped.
Well, don't forget Florida State. The last 2 years they've lost 4 games, but before that they were in the national championship game 4 of the next 5 years. Georgia hopes to have that kind of consistency.
They'd like to be back here again next year for the Sugar Bowl. That'll be the national championship game. When you're 12-1, you know you've got stars on both sides of the ball, and Georgia does.
2 years ago when Mark Richt went to Georgia, David Greene was a true freshman. Since that time, they've gone 20-5. This is a big, strong kid that's very intelligent, that really likes to throw the football, great handler of the ball. He is the SEC Offensive Player of the Year.
On the other side, on defense, they've got the overall Player of the Year.
There you go, David Pollock. What, this guy is so much fun. His motor never stops. He's after you. He is down in the stands. He's trying to get the fans in the ball game. He's selling popcorn. He'll do anything. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Well, for Florida State, I think everybody knows their story. Adrian McPherson's been removed from the team. He was the starting quarterback. Much of the year it was Chris Richt as a starter. He overslept, didn't take a couple of exams, and he's not here tonight. Bobby Bowden thinking you were going to have to play quarterback here a couple weeks ago.
Well, he's got Fabian Walker, who was number 3. Now, Fabian, you know, he's got to be a little bit nervous. I'd say the butterflies are about the size of buzzards. But he's supposed to be a cool customer, and Bobby says we're going to do what he does best. Let him sit in the pocket and throw the football. Now, if he can't get it done, he's going to go to Anquan Bolden. Anquan is probably the best athlete on the field, not the best quarterback on the field. If they have to go to him, they might be in trouble.
All right, well, we're going to watch that. We're going to talk about the emotion and motivation of this game because that's a big part. Remember, Florida State's a very proud program. So are the Georgia Bulldogs, and more on that. Let's go down third man on our team. You've seen him once. You'll see him again. Here's Lynn Swan.
Well, thank you very much, Brad. You know, there are some alarming trends for the Florida State football teams in the last 3 years. As we take a look at this graphic, you will see that over the last 3 years in this new millennium, they have lost almost as many games as over the previous decade. 13 in the 90s, 10 already in this new millennium. But it's a team with a great deal of pride, and they believe they deserve more respect. There are seniors like Brett Williams and Alonzo Jackson that have national championship rings. What they intend to do tonight is use that as motivation in this border war to prove to everyone that this is a good football team. The same team that was a field goal away from beating Miami, who will be playing for a national championship, will go out tonight and between the white lines show you that the senior leadership in this football team has championship pride, Brad.
And on Georgia's side of things, they won the toss. They deferred. So Brett Kerouac will be kicking away. The senior set to kick away to Tallman Gardner and Leon Washington. Mark Richt only his second year after the long stint as offensive coordinator at Florida State. And now it's the young gun against the old man, the pupil against the mentor. And Bobby Bowden, 332 wins. Mark Richt's just getting started at 20-5. So Gardner and Washington deep. And we're set to go in the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. The kick goes a yard deep to Tallman Gardner. Gardner bringing it out, cutting to the left side. Maybe got to the 20 if he was lucky. Derek Holloway ran him out of bounds. So here's the man of the hour that Bob just talked about. At least he's wearing a good number, Grease.
I like the number.
Fabian Walker, just a sophomore. First start ever. He's attempted 8 passes.
He's played in 3 games, only thrown 8 passes. And you got to be a little bit nervous right now.
You've got to think that Brian Van Gorder, the defensive coordinator for Georgia, is going to send the house at this kid. So Florida State works from its own 19-yard line. 3 wideouts, and it's Maddox, the tailback in the eye. And it's an end around. Anquan Bolden got a good block. Bolden out to the 27-yard line. We said their bag of tricks was full, and Bobby uses one on the first play of the ball game. As we take a look at the Nokia starting lineups, here's the big fellas up front: Barron, Williams, Castillo, Holland, and Brett Williams, an All-American. 3 seniors on that offensive front. Maddox, a senior, is the tailback. Dean leads the way. Hughes, the tight end. Tallman Gardner and Anquan Bolden are the wide receivers. Anquan Bolden led the ACC in touchdown catches this year with those 12.
They need to get the ball in his hands whatever way they can.
They did it on an end around, and now they've got second down and short, about a yard to go. And it's Maddox, and he's got the first down. Stretches across that 30 as Tony Gilbert, the middle linebacker, makes the stop. Georgia defensively, we talked about David Pollock. He's not the only good one up there. Jonathan Sullivan is a tough one to handle on the inside. Beal and Thompson round out the front 4. Linebackers, Boss Bailey, he's incredible. Tony Gilbert's in the middle. Those are the top 2 tacklers. Chris Clemens, the other outside backer. DeCorey Bryant, Kentrell Curry, Sean Jones, and Bruce Thornton are the secondary. There's the boss, and he is something special.
Now, offensively, Fabian Walker Got a first down, not easing into the ball game. He needs to complete a pass now.
Walker, here's the first throw. Down the middle of Bowden, inside the 40 to the 39. Threw a strike to Bowden. Bowden made a nice adjustment, and it's a 20-yard pickup.
Good call. He was a little bit behind him, but it was the first pass, and it was a big one. Bowden just going to run a little square in, going to go down about 15 yards. Kind of rounds it off to the inside, but he makes the adjustment. It's a big drive for Fabian Walker in Florida State.
Not the greatest motion in the world, kind of a sidearm, short arm delivery.
Really doesn't get his arm up. It's they say he's got a little bit of a shoulder problem and may have to have it fixed after the season.
From the 39 of Georgia, play action, pump fake, now comes up short, out in the flat. Nice move by Maddox, as Maddox got to about the 35-yard line. We'll bring up second down at about 6.
It's impressive there. He looked downfield. When you're a quarterback, a veteran or a rookie, your progression for your reads is you read deep to short. He looked deep. The post was not there. He came off to the middle range and then dumped it off to his outlet. Very impressive.
David Pollock on the sideline already for Georgia. Their top pass rusher, led the SEC in sacks. He's not in there right now on a second down and a long 6. And already Florida State's move to the Georgia 36-yard line. They fake the end around and go straight up the middle with Maddox. Maddox fighting for yardage. Got it to the 31. Chris Clemens and a host of Bulldogs there to help on the stop. Nick Maddox, a different kind of runner than Greg Jones, obviously. And our Tostitos player comparison to the Florida State backfield. Greg Jones, before being injured against Wake Forest, almost had a 1,000-yard season. We saw him just look remarkable against Miami.
What a load he was in that game. But they've lost their whole middle. They lost their centers, 2 quarterbacks, and their running back.
9th play of the drive. He's got a 3rd down and 7 to worry about. Walker from the gun. Here comes the Georgia pressure. He got away from it again. Trying to put a move in the open field and got back across the line of scrimmage. Maybe picked up 2, but Corey Bryant made the tackle. And that's going to bring up 4th down.
This might be a situation. It's 4th. You may go for it on 4th down. You got inside the 35-yard line. If you turned it over, it wouldn't be a bad spot to give it to the other team.
And I do not see Bethia and the field goal units. You're right, Bob. They're going.
Yep.
Just tucked inside the Georgia 35. It's 4th down.
It would be
at 6.
It would be a 52-yard field goal. You don't want to punt it, so go ahead and let your offense do it.
And now it's Anquan Bolden at quarterback.
Option.
And he'll keep it spinning. Didn't quite get there. Georgia will take over on down. Pollock made the tackle. And Bolden almost danced his way to a 1st down, but Georgia will take over. We'll see their offense for the first time when we come back. Early in New Orleans, no score. Darrell Dickey, the quarterback coach, talking with Fabian Walker. Looked pretty good on that opening drive.
It was a good drive. 10 plays, 6.5 minutes. They started on their own 19. That's a positive drive.
They did end up short on 4th down, though, so Georgia takes over. The Bulldogs offense working of its own 32-yard line. David Greene in the shotgun. Gives it off. Lisa Smith inside, no gain. Travis Johnson in on the tackle. So there's David Greene. Last year he was freshman of the year in the SEC, and now tremendous numbers this season. Over 2,800 yards, only 8 interceptions against 22 touchdown passes. And 20-5 his career record as a starter. The same record as Mark Richt. He's been the man for him, as Bob said when we opened things up. Actually a loss of a yard on the play. 2nd down and 11. And now Smith busts it off the right side. Newsom Smith into the secondary. Foot race now. 1 man to beat. Down he goes. But he rips it all the way to the 31-yard line. Alonzo Jackson, I think, got a hand on his shoestring, or he might have been gone.
It's a veteran offensive line. All seniors up front there. Good blocking, hat on hat. And then he makes the safety miss. And then it's just a foot race. Season-long run of 39 yards for Smith.
First 1,000-yard back for Georgia in 10 years, and he gets the Dogs to the 30-yard line. Play action. Greene comes up throwing, overshot his tight end who was open, J.T. Wall. And let's take a look at the Nokia starting lineup. John Stinchcomb's an All-American both academically and as a player. Jackson, Knight, Breedlove making his 46th start, and Kareem Marshall. Smith, the tailback behind Wall, who that pass was intended for. Watson's a good tight end, and Gibson and Edwards just 2 of 4 or 5 very good receivers for Georgia.
7 seniors on that offense for Georgia.
Now it's 2nd down and 10 at the 30. And again, Greene will work from the shotgun. Draw play. Smith trying to cut it outside. Florida State's defense very fast, though, and a pickup of about 3 as we take a look at the Noles defensively. Moore starts for the first time at defensive end as they shuttle some people around on the defensive front. Benford Johnson and Alonzo Jackson is the captain and leader there. Boulware, Augustin, and Pope are the linebackers. And in the secondary, Samuels, Ward, Jerome Carter, and Rufus Brown.
Yeah, Daryl Dockett and Womble, 2 defensive tackles, are not playing because of injury and suspension.
Tony Milton now is checked into the Georgia backfield. Greene comes up to the line of scrimmage, calmly taking his time to change the play. 3rd down and 7. Here comes the blitz. Greene down the middle, and he got his man at the 15. It's a 1st down, and it's Terence Edwards, his favorite target. Pickup of 12 on 3rd and 7.
Well, it's a nice combination of Mark Richt and David Greene. Mark Richt lays it out for Greene, and Greene just executes it. Very intelligent. He's a field general. You'll see a lot of good play action fakes by David Greene.
And for Terence Edwards, career catch number 202. And it nets Georgia 1st down at the Florida State 15. It's Milton. And he got 3, almost 4 on the inside. Tony Milton in for Musa Smith to get some work.
This is not your normal defense for Florida State. In their championship years, they would be defensively in the top 5 of all 4 defensive categories. This defense is ranked 62nd in the nation and 95th against the pass. It's very unusual for Mickey Andrews to have a defense rated that high.
Reggie Brown checks in as a 3rd wide receiver for Georgia. He's slotted to the left side on a 2nd down and a long 6. It's Musa Smith, and he's hit immediately. Nice job defensively. Florida State coming in and making the stop and forcing a 3rd down and long. Mike Shaw made the tackle for Mickey Andrews' defense. Mickey's been around a long time, and a long time, as Bobby was telling Lynn before the game. He said Mickey and Mark have gone at it in spring practice. That's when Rick was offensive coordinator and Andrews a defensive coordinator.
Mark says, I didn't get the best of it many times at all.
3rd and 8. Swing pass, and it doesn't get much. And Shaw makes another stop on Musa Smith. And that'll bring out the Georgia field goal unit.
But with Florida State being in the situation that they are with their 3rd-string quarterback having to play him, their defense and their special teams have got to come up big.
The officials threw the flag.
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike on the defense.
Automatic 1st down.
Half the distance to the goal will still be 4th down.
I beg your pardon.
4th down.
It's still 4th down. But it isn't an automatic 1st down.
4th and less than 2. And it looks like the Bulldogs are going to go for it. No, they're going to kick it. Or are they? They're sending about 16 guys in there.
Yep, there comes Bennett.
A lot of guys coming and going.
There's the guy that matters right now.
Yeah.
Billy Bennett, a junior and a local product right out of Athens. 22 of 28 on the season. 23-yard field goal attempt to put Georgia on the board. And it's the Dogs out of the blocks first. Florida State's defense held, but Georgia gets 3 out of its opening march with 4:19 remaining 1st quarter. And the Georgia Bulldogs leading in New Orleans 3-0. Georgia leading Florida State 3-0 on Billy Bennett's field goal. Rufus Brown with that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty got him close enough for the field goal, and Rufus got a little talking to during the timeout from the coaches on the sideline. Scoring drive, 62 yards in 9 plays.
Big play was Musa Smith's run. Bottom line, though, that penalty on Rufus Brown didn't cost him, didn't really hurt him, because they were going to kick a field goal either way.
Georgia set to kick away. Gardner and Leon Washington wait. Kerouac's kick. And it's Washington about 3 yards deep, and Tom Gardner should stay right there. So at the 31, a little better field position to work with, and slipping through out to about the 35 is Leon Washington. Alonzo Jackson, one of the captains on the defense, knows number 12 probably as well as anybody. They played high school ball together in Americus, Georgia.
Just a calm guy all the way around. Natural quarterback. Can really throw the ball. People don't really understand how well he can throw the ball. I mean, I played high school with him. I understand. I've seen him in clutch situations when it had to throw, had to be made, and he makes it. I got all the confidence in the world in him. That's the guy that's going to get it done for us.
We'll see if he does. So far, he's done pretty well with the exception of one stray pass on the ground. And maybe a yard for Leon Washington. Tony Gilbert, the inside linebacker, made the stop again. Fabian Walker at Americus, Georgia, was highly recruited, over 8,000 yards passing. Everybody wanted this kid to play quarterback, including Georgia. Everybody was after him.
Georgia,
81 touchdown passes.
Yeah, Georgia was after him. Florida State was after him. Mark Richt got him at Florida State. Liked him better in high school as mechanics than he did McPherson and Ricks, who eventually came to Florida State.
Fabian loves basketball, and as a freshman at Americus, Alonzo Jackson says he wouldn't be playing football if I didn't drag him down to the field. He didn't want to play football. 3rd down and 5. He's playing in a big football game right now. From the gun, down the middle, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. Looking for a flag is P.K. Sam, and he got one.
Pass interference on the defense. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
You look at the second receiver inside. Take a look at the slot guy. Sam's going to turn around number 81. Yeah, he got there just a little too early. The problem was the defensive back was all right. The ball didn't get there quick enough.
Tim Jennings can say that. Throw it faster, would you?
Yeah.
True freshman out of Orangeburg, South Carolina, with a penalty. 1st down and 10 now for Florida State, trailing by 3 here in the final minute of the 1st quarter. From their own 45. Here's a toss to Washington, and he got the corner. Did he get face masked? I think so. And flags fly from all over the place. Now he better be cool. The officials saw it. They had about 3 flags, and he was being pretty emphatic about, hey, he grabbed my cage, and he did. To Corey Bryant.
Face mask on the defense, 15 yards.
So back-to-back penalties. It's a major face mask penalty too, and you'll see it at the end of the play. Right there.
Right there.
He had it with both hands. Woo, got to let go of that one.
I never played defense, but I don't know why a defensive guy would grab like right there. You know, get a little lower. I mean, you got the angle. You're going to knock him out of bounds, or somebody's right behind you. You know your defensive buddies are right there. I don't know why you reach up high to grab him.
So they give Florida State, Georgia's defense, 25 yards in back-to-back plays.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, they're down there and inside the 35-yard line.
Both of these teams are near the most penalized in their conference. And most of those penalties come on defense. They want aggressive style defense, and that's when Mark was at Florida State. You know, Mickey Andrews, he wants him aggressive, and that's what he got with McCorder. Brian McCorder, same way.
At the 33 now. 1st down, Seminoles. Walker, straight drop. Flyers out wide open in the flat as a tight end, Patrick Hughes. And we were just talking about the fact that Florida State virtually never throws to its tight ends. And man, somebody forgot to stay on number 82. He got 14 yards.
Well, this is the 14th game that Florida State has played this year, and the fifth pass that the tight end has caught. Number 82 is just usually flare control. He says, hey, throw me the ball a little bit more. I can do this.
That's a big target, too. 6'5", 265. And he rumbles inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Fabian Walker's completed passes to 3 different receivers now. And we're in the waning moments of the 1st quarter. Washington hit at the line of scrimmage, and no gain on the play. Will Thompson, the sophomore out of Warner Robins, makes the tackle from his defensive end spot, and that is going to bring the first quarter of the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl to a close. Defensive battle so far. Georgia leading by 3 on a Billy Bennett field goal. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Georgia with a lead as we head into the second quarter. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan, and our ABC crew at the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl at the Superdome in New Orleans. David Pollack trying to get the Georgia fans into it a little bit.
I love the way he plays defensive end and also cheerleader on the field.
Walker from the shotgun. Here comes a blitz. Walker over the middle. And is it complete? Anquan Bolden went to the turf. They say yes. He caught it right at the 10-yard line. Bruce Thornton there, pickup of 9.
This is one of the problems with the throwing motion for Fabian Walker. He doesn't get his arm up, and he throws a lot of balls low. He's going to throw a slant. The safety is going to blitz inside. Slant is right there. He just doesn't get the ball up. He was doing that about half the time in pregame warm-ups when he was throwing that same route.
You might have seen Anquan Bolden when he got up look at his elbow, because he scraped it pretty good to have to go down and scrape that one off the turf. This is the first time Florida State's played on AstroTurf all year. They'll go straight up the gut. Oh, big collision, but breaking free is the fullback B.J. Dean, and he's got it first and goal.
Just thinking that how many times in the last 10 years have you ever seen Florida State in a 3 tight end set?
I don't remember.
And no wide receivers.
Watch this collision with Tony Gilbert. Kaboom.
Dean, who doesn't carry the ball very often, is mentioned, and he's just a blocking fullback, carries it there and picks it up.
So Bob and Brad, we've talked about the quarterback, Fabian Walker, and we know that he's not going to be perfect in this ball game. So what he's going to have is help from his teammates to make those big kind of plays and do something unexpected.
So now it's Florida State first and goal. They fake the toss. Walker wanted to go to Bolden and now does. Touchdown. His first in a Florida State uniform. Anquan Bolden's 13th of the year.
It's a well-designed play. Bolden had plenty of time to run the route. And the thing that made it happen was the fact that Fabian Walker got outside the pocket, gave him plenty of time.
Xavier Bethia in for the point after to try to give Florida State the lead of 4, and he does. 7-3, 13:41 remaining in the half now. And this guy's growing up in a hurry. Walker to Bolden, 7-3 Noles.
Let's go back to the touchdown. Here you go. Look what we got out here. We got all this. We got all the other guys inside. Now what he's going to do, he's going to come down, run all the way in, and come back to the outside. The quarterback's going to get outside the pocket. That's what gives him time to run this route. He goes all the way in, then comes back out. The defensive back says, hey, you ain't got time to run that, but he doesn't know that the quarterback is outside the pocket.
And the fake toss by Walker sealed off that Georgia defense, with the exception of the guy trying to stay with Anquan Bolden. And it's 7-3.
You know, the other thing that helped that drive was all the penalties.
No doubt.
The face mask and the other one.
Gibson takes it about 7 yards deep, and he'll take a knee. That's David Greene's start. He's going to take a break from this offensive series. DJ Shockley's come in at quarterback, redshirt freshman out of College Park, Georgia.
4th series of the game for Georgia. David Greene took the first 3.
This was the plan. Mark Richt told us this would happen. Shockley runs into one of his own blockers. Now is trying to make something out of the play. Got away from Alonzo Jackson, and he lost the ball. And B.J. Ward's got to go the other way. Beg your pardon, it's Kyler Hall, the safety. Hall took it right out of midair. It just squirted right out of Shockley's hands.
Shockley
in for the game, trying to make too much happen. Just didn't hold on to the football. Was almost going to make a great play, turn a negative play into a positive, and then turns it over. Let me say this. I agree with what Mark Richt has done. You have two quarterbacks. They are both talented. If one gets hurt, at the end of the season, you better have somebody else that go in and play. The unfortunate thing is, when the second guy comes in, everybody is up to speed, game speed, and you may not be. So sometimes you come in and you'll turn the ball over. But Georgia's done a pretty good job of overcoming any mistake that Shockley has made.
And they have talked with him about his plans. We'll talk about that in a moment. Here as a handoff goes. Maddox got about 3, maybe 4. Will Thompson made the tackle. DJ Shockley has said this past week or so that he is planning to return to Georgia. There was a lot of talk about whether or not he would transfer to another school because, quite frankly, he wants to be a starting quarterback, play full-time. His dad's a coach. Don's a coach at North Clayton High School, and he's talked it over with his dad. He said, I'm coming back.
Well, Shockley is a redshirt freshman. He's in his second year. David Greene has 2 more years to play if he wants.
And Mark Richt obviously wants him to stay, and Greene knows he's staying. Here's Walker, flipped it out in the flat, incomplete, intended for Maddox, and it's incomplete. Just to make sure, Georgia was picking that ball up, thinking it might have been a lateral. Sean Jones picked it up, headed to the end zone.
Bob and Brad, I just want to point out one thing that worked to the advantage of Fabian Walker and Florida State, and that's the fact that the crowd seems to be sitting on its hands.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Unfortunately for Fabian, the Florida State team wasn't really able to work with him a lot with crowd noise before this game. So you figure a young guy coming in who had to deal with a lot of crowd noise would be a real problem, but these fans have really been sitting on their hands.
I think there was a little too much French Quarter last night, Swanee. 3rd down and 6.
You mean for the players?
The players. No, the fans, not for the players. Here's Walker, and he's got it complete. Tallman Gardner. Up PK Sam. On 3rd down and a long 6, he finds Sam for 8 and a first down.
I think that's like the 4th completion for a first down for Fabian Walker. Just pitch and catch. You know, PK Sam is like the 4th or 5th receiver. I'm sure Fabian Walker had a lot of practice with him when he was down the 3rd string quarterback.
Probably his favorite receiver.
He and PK got a lot of time together.
Looking into the Seminole huddle, they lead 7-3. 8:20 remaining in the first half. And a first down at the 38-yard line of Georgia. There's the first down play selection. More runs than passes. This one will be an end around to Anquan Bolden. So he's thinking about throwing.
Yeah, there was a receiver downfield, but he wasn't open. He just kept it and ran it.
Moss Bailey stayed right with him, and Bailey made the tackle.
Take a look. Bailey's number 45 right in front of us. He sees, he waits, he knows he has contained. He just goes out and says, all right, Anquan, where are you? I'm going to come and get you.
He was stalking him. Bailey, the leading tackler for Georgia, had 109 tackles coming in. 2nd team All-American. Did make the Walter Camp 1st team All-American linebacking team. 2nd down and 10. Off the left side inside the 35 is Nick Maddox, and he got about 4. 3rd down and 6 for a guy making his first ever start. Walker getting some pressure, lofts it, and it's intercepted down the sidelines. Bruce Thornton's got everybody beat. He's gone. Touchdown, Georgia. Flags at the end of the play, probably for the strut into the end zone. 71 yards. But Thornton did a little bit too much Dion from about the 12-yard line in, and I think that's what the flags are going to be about.
This is one of the critical mistakes that Bowden was talking about before the ball game. He was trying to get rid of it, not take the sack. He just threw it out in the flat, and it was an easy pick for Thornton. He was strutting before he got to the end zone.
Nick Maddox still looked like he maybe had a shot at him, and he started strutting way early, and that's what he's getting in the ear from his head coach right now. Nonetheless, a 71-yard interception return. What it does force, though, is a 35-yard extra point for Billy Bennett. And this is no chip shot. He's perfect on the year on extras, 50 for 50, almost getting a hand on it, but he got the kick up and in. That was close to being blocked. But the miscue, the second interception by Walker. Thornton dancing in for Georgia. They lead by 3. Second interception turns into a Georgia touchdown. Their third interception for a touchdown this year for the Dogs. Second pick of the year for Thornton. He was penalized for the high strut on the way to the end zone. Daryl Dickey spent much of the time out talking to number 12 there, trying to keep his quarterback cool about the mistakes he's made. Tolman Gardner will take the kick from the 7. Trying to go to the wide side and outrun everybody, and Gardner gets out to about the 30, maybe the 31-yard line. Will Thompson's having a first-team SEC type first half, I'll tell you that. Second sack for him. And there's the official answer. And our Aflac trivia question contest for the year is over.
Did they do that before Mark Richt got it there, or was that just since Mark?
I think it's just since Mark, with the adding the academic ones.
Yeah, Mark's done a lot of nice things in Athens since he's gotten there. This whole thing is like a family.
Yep, he's embraced the tradition of Georgia football, loves it. Vince Dooley, of course, the athletic director, was longtime head coach and the last guy to bring Georgia down to New Orleans for a Sugar Bowl. And hopefully Vince is going to join us in the second half a little bit. Second down and 13. Walker in trouble, down he goes.
He was in big trouble because somebody went the wrong way. It looked like an option, and the back went the other way. If he would have pitched that ball, nobody was there to take it.
There he is, Swain, freshman, made the hit on him, and now it's third down and a mile again. 5 minutes left in the half. Georgia by an interception return for a touchdown, leading Florida State by 3.
And I don't think it was Fabian who went the wrong way. I think it was the back that went the wrong way.
Third down and 16. Washington is the tailback. Let's see if they play it safe or not. They will. And he's going nowhere. Jonathan Sullivan, the defensive tackle, made the stop. Big fella out of Griffin, Georgia, that a lot of people think may turn pro when this game's over. And 4 minutes and change remaining here in the half as Gwaltney's set to punt inside his own 15-yard line. Hangs up the kick. Gary again bobbles it this time, and he finds the handle. And he's all the way down to the 38-yard line of Florida State. Great field position for the Dogs. They've got the lead, they've got the ball, and they'll have a first down when we come back to the Superdome in a moment. With Bob Greasy and Lynn Swan, I'm Brad Nessler. Back at the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. Just under 4 minutes left in the half. Georgia leading by 3. And Bob, Mark Richt staying with DJ Shockley even despite the interception the last trip.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you know, quarterbacks, if they play, they're going to throw interceptions. We got bad plays. And I think Shockley's attitude is, hey, if I play 25 plays, I may only have 1 interception. Let me play.
Here he is off play action. Deep ball. Terence Edwards got it. That's why you leave him in there. Shockley to Edwards. And Georgia just shocked Florida State. 1 play after the punt return, they score again.
I guess the coach knows what he's doing.
I think maybe he does. And there you see David Greene, one of the first to high-five DJ Shockley as he comes to the sideline.
Shockley's 5th touchdown pass on the year.
And Terence Edwards' 30th of his career, which is 1 shy of the all-time SEC record. So again, Florida State had the ball most of the half. Georgia at the half has the lead. That's all they care about. Their fans give them a big ovation as they lead 17-7, and we head down to Swanwick.
Well, Coach, you got the halftime lead, but there's an awful big difference in time of possession. It means nothing because you have the lead.
Right.
But do you have to change how you control the flow of this game in the second half?
Well, I don't know what we're going to do yet. I know we got to get more something more going on offense. You could go fast or slow. It doesn't matter. If you don't get any first downs, you're not going to have any time of possession. But thankful we got the lead right now, and we just have to play better in the second half.
That last series, Anquan Bowden comes in as a quarterback. If he should start in the second half, the fact that he played in that last series give you a little advantage or a little idea of what they might try and do?
Well, they probably showed a good bit of what they like to do with him. And Shooty threw a beautiful bomb that should have been a touchdown, but they just didn't make the catch. He's a heck of a football player. I remember him from high school. He's one of the best players in the state of Florida.
Well, you helped to recruit him. You know him well. Thanks,
Sure.
Coach.
I was going to say, Swanee, when he says them, I can tell it's still hard for him. He knows those kids and loves them all. But right now, his beloved Dogs are leading by 10 at the break. So we send it to our Pontiac Performance halftime show. Here's the hardest working guys today in TV. Back at the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Georgia. Its first trip here in 20 years. They lead by 10 at halftime, 17-7. Welcome back, everybody. Brad Nessler and Bob Greasy. I think the best long pass I've seen thrown all year was by Anquan Bowden. It was incomplete, or we'd have a closer score than we have right now.
Same thing happened in the North Carolina State game. He dropped one there. He's caught a lot of big passes, but Florida State needs to do the same thing in the second half they did in the first half. Control the ball, keep their offense off the field. Just don't throw them an interception for a touchdown and catch the ones you got.
Right now, let's head down. Lynn Swan on the field. Swanee.
Well, Brad, I think Anquan Bowden is going to play in the ball game. He just bruised that left hand. But Bobby Bowden said he's going to start the second half for Fabian Walker and see how he goes, although he intends to move Anquan Bowden in there. For his mindset, the difference in this ball game is big plays. You see Greene make a big catch for Georgia, and then you see a drop pass by Talman Gardner, and so it's very difficult for Florida State to be on top in this ball game. Defensively, he feels like his team is in this ball game 100%. What he's going to have to do, he said, is throw quicker passes in the second half with his offense, because his offensive line is not protecting his quarterback as well as he'd like to see it done. Brad?
Yep, good point. All right, Swanee. You know, it's amazing, Bob. Swanee's been walking around New Orleans the last 3 or 4 days with a goatee. And all of a sudden, I just realized he's clean shaven.
Cleaned up, didn't he?
He did clean up nice.
Yeah.
Must have been Charina said, get rid of that thing before the game.
Yeah,
Had a little salt and pepper working in it. That's probably why. But
I could use it.
Well, it shows my age a little bit too much. You know I'm only 25.
That's right.
I could use a telestrator and put it back on there for you.
Here's the kick. Georgia will get the football first. Gibson 5 yards deep, and he wants to bring it, so he will. Don't know if it was a good choice. It wasn't. Out to the 7-yard line. That's all. Our PlayStation 2 halftime statistics look like this.
Well, look at the number of plays, big in favor of Florida State. Turnovers. One of the 2 for Florida State went back for a touchdown, and of course the thing we've been talking about, that just shows you time of possession doesn't have anything to do with score, especially when you throw interceptions for touchdowns.
Well, you know, Georgia was 10th in the SEC in time of possession. They were 1st in the SEC in scoring.
Good point. They have never been a team to control the ball. They get the ball and they score, and that's kind of the way Mark Richt was when he was at Florida State.
Here's Musa Smith, who's been a non-factor really so far. Musa trying to get it out across the 10-yard line. Got about 5. Stanford Samuels made the stop. Georgia, with their possessions in the first half, they got a field goal on a 62-yard drive to open things up, and they missed a long one. And of course, fumble and touchdown.
Yeah, that's only 10 points, but the other one was scored by their defense on the interception. Seminole
Band and their fans trying to get them in it with a chant for their defense, having Georgia pinned inside its own 15. Smith again, this time into the secondary, and a good tough run, and you hear the chants of moo from the Georgia fans. Musa Smith gets it out to the 24-yard line.
Yeah, just the big offensive line. Watch this side of the offensive line, those guys up front, the senior Breedlove and the center Knight. You know, they're going to lose this offensive line, so they better run behind it while they've got it, because next year they're going to have to break in a whole new offensive line.
First team All-SEC performer, the first 1,000-yard rusher since Garrison Hurst in '92. And you think of Georgia, you think of Herschel and those guys, you think every year they'd have 1,000, but it just hadn't happened. And of course, Terrell Davis wasn't a 1,000-yard gainer there and was a late draft choice. And, Robert Edwards now is back with the Dolphins, comeback player of the year, or comeback story of the year, really, in the NFL. And that's Terence Edwards' big brother, Robert. But Musa, the first one in 10, 11 years. that's done the 1,000-yard thing. Here's the guy that caught the touchdown pass, closing in on all the SEC receiving records. That's Terence Edwards. On second down. And here comes Smith again. And now big chunks. As Bob said, you get the big eaters up front, open them some holes. You might as well use them. And now Moose has got 67 yards.
Take a look at the right side of that offensive line. That's Breedlove and Marshall over there on that side in the fullback wall doing a nice job. And Musa just gets through and says, hey, I'm eating the yardage up here.
And he's got another first down at the 37-yard line. Tony Milton will come in and give him a breather now. So Georgia with a 10-point lead. Opening drive, third quarter. Play fake. Greene going deep. Got his man. Johnson inside the 30. Michael Johnson went up and got it. And he went up and got the biggest pass of the year for Georgia. This one nothing like the dramatics of the Auburn finish. But a nice pass play.
This is what the running game would do for you. Look out here on the outside. You got single coverage. Nobody helping you in the middle of the field. If he would have put the ball out a little bit further, he could have got it maybe a touchdown.
There's Greene laying it out beautifully. So first down at the 29. Back to the ground. Milton, nice sidestep. And Tony Milton inside the 25 down to the 24. Michael Johnson, I mentioned the junior out of Tulsa, made the catch earned round the SEC, especially for the Georgia Bulldogs this year. Waning moments, fourth down, fourth and long. Had to have it to get an SEC championship, and with 19 seconds went up and caught a fourth down touchdown pass. Probably the biggest play for Georgia this year and in many seasons.
Johnson probably the number 4 receiver on this team. 3 of the 4 receivers will be back next year. That'll be good for the Dogs.
Greene whips it out, intended for Terence Edwards. Incomplete coverage by Leroy Smith out there on the corner. And it'll bring up third down at 5.
Now that's the kind of interaction you like to see. Good sportsmanship. Good play by both guys.
Florida State, of course, only 3 years removed from when that man was offensive coordinator, playing in the national championship game against Michael Vick and Virginia Tech. And now, not that many seasons have passed. Mark's finishing off his second year as a head coach at Georgia. Bobby Bowden's just a few wins behind Joe Paterno on the all-time list. Draw play on 35. It didn't work, as they lost a yard. Alonzo Jackson was the first to meet Tony Milton. That will bring out the Georgia field goal unit again. Billy Bennett's 1 out of 2. He hit one to open the scoring and then missed a 47-yarder. As we said, 23 field goals on the season is a school record. Kevin Butler, considered probably the best kicker Georgia's ever had. Really a heck of an NFL kicker, too. This guy's got 23 on the season, going for number 24.
He's got 53 on his career. And he's still got another year to go.
42-yard kick here on the way, and this one's true. Right down the Nokia phone.
That'd been good from 60.
Beautiful kick by Bennett. Tacks 3 more on for Mark Richt's Dogs. 11:06 to go, third quarter. Georgia 20-7. Billy Bennett alone in the record books. Kevin Butler kicked 23 field goals for Georgia in 1984. Billy just hit his 24th of the year. New single-season school record. He's closing in on the single-season scoring record, too. We mentioned Garrison Hurst earlier, and Garrison Hurst in a single season at 126 points. And with his performance here today, Billy's up to 124. And here's his counterpart, the other kicker, Brett Kerouac. I gave him a little grief before the game. I yelled Duluth Wildcats at him, and he turned his head completely around. A senior out of Duluth, Georgia, which is my hometown. Gardner and Washington deep. Kerouac's kick, a good one again. Deep, 2 yards in. Tallman Gardner won't bring it out. Fabian Walker at quarterback. Florida State from its own 20. And Walker, straight drop to throw, and pressure, and the ball is loose. And Georgia's got it. Another mistake. Ken Veal with a fumble recovery. I think it was Will Thompson that got him from the backside, and for Thompson, he's wreaking more havoc than Pollock is in that Florida State backfield.
This Georgia defense is really getting after it. Look over here. He's just going to beat the tackle on that side.
That was Thompson.
Right there, when you rush a passer from his backside, you have a great opportunity to knock the ball loose. And more guys and coaching staffs are teaching that. If you come up from behind, try to knock the ball, strip it, as well as get the sack.
Thompson 3 sacks, Walker 3 turnovers. Georgia in the red zone again, courtesy of a turnover. Well, they go for the quick strike. Greene fires to his fullback out of the backfield, and ball got to about the 15-yard line, maybe the 14. Michael Boulware made the tackle. Florida State had done a nice job in recent weeks of holding on to the football. They were plus 13 in turnover margin, which was tied for second best in the ACC, but today it's the wheels are coming off.
Well, they only had 1 turnover the last 4 games. And tonight, with the young quarterback in there, he's been responsible for 2 interceptions, and then he just got stripped on the fumble.
2nd down and 7. Back to Smith. No gain on that play. So Kendall Pope and Boulware, they make the last 2 plays. And Smith, who started this 3rd quarter so strong when Georgia had to begin this drive inside their own 10-yard line. And
the Seminoles returned 10 of their defensive players. If you look at Thompson and Pollock, 2 of the defensive ends, Pollock has probably gotten a lot of the attention this year, being the defensive player of the year in the SEC. Thompson having a good game tonight.
3rd down and 7 now. Greene from the gun. Georgia trying to capitalize on the fumble recovery. Here comes a blitz. Greene down the middle, got his man. It's going to be short of the 1st down, I think. Gibson made the catch. Tough one over the middle. But on 3rd and 7, I think he only got about 6. Let's wait and see. And now the fans already coming to life, thinking about going on 4th down, and Mark Richt didn't even think twice. He said, get number 30 out there so he can get his 25th field goal of the year.
He wants to get something positive out of this turnover. You know, that's one of the things an offensive coordinator doesn't have to do, make these decisions. Do I go for it on 4th down? Do I kick the field goal? Do I punt the ball? Do I go for it?
Billy Bennett will become a single-season scoring leader in Georgia history if this 25-yarder goes through, and it does. 3 field goals for Bennett. Georgia does capitalize on the turnover. And with 8:49 remaining in the 3rd quarter, the Bulldogs add to their lead. Georgia 23, Florida State 7. Georgia making the most of its first trip to New Orleans in 2 decades. They lead 23-7 in the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. And there's a big reason why Will Thompson has been something else off his defensive end spot, probably the most overlooked guy on their defensive front, and he's wreaked havoc in the Florida State backfield. Helped them with that forced fumble on the sack of Fabian Walker to get Bennett's 25-yard field goal.
Very impressed with University of Georgia. They've done it on offense, they've done it on defense. Turnovers.
Special teams, the kickers have both been good. Kerouac again knocks it down for a touchback 5 yards deep. 9 possessions for Florida State. 4 of their starts were at their own 20 or worse. This one is at the 20 again. Let's see if Georgia keeps bringing that pressure on Walker. We expected it, we got it. And here, the run defense. Pollock made the first hit. Gilbert cleaned up. And there's Anquan Bolden, and he has some tape now on the left wrist and hand area he didn't have when the game started.
There he goes.
Here he comes. Daryl Dickey sends him out. And he comes in this situation as a receiver. 2nd down 11. Bolden, one of 3 wideouts from the 19-yard line. The give is to Washington, and Leon finally found a little room to run. And he's got a 1st down as he pops it out across the 35. 17-yard gain. Leon, the guy that had the good game against Florida Gators.
Offensive line doing a nice job. The fullback gets his piece. It's a 2-deep zone, so there's only 7 guys up to stop the run. Tell you, Florida State's got some good freshman running backs. This kid, Leon Washington, they've played Clayton this year. They're not even playing that kid, Lorenzo Booker, the #1 recruit last year out of high school. He's being redshirted.
The man that scored Florida State's only touchdown as a receiver is back in at quarterback, Anquan Bowden.
The gloves are off.
A roll on first down and throw completes at the 40-yard line. Knee went down of Tallman Gardner. And Tallman Gardner caught that one, but the one that got away could have made it a 3-point ball game at halftime. Watch the arm strength on Anquan Bowden as he was going deep late in the second quarter.
Let's see, throws it from the 40.
Right from the 40. Now watch this end, and Gardner, about 58 yards, and as you said with the angle, it's farther than that.
Right. That would have been a big play for Florida State to hit.
That would have made it 17-14 at halftime. Bowden. K. Sam. Sam's got Sean Jones draped all over it. But it'll be close to a first down.
Yep.
Florida State trying to chip away with a guy that was everybody's all-ACC performer at wide receiver. And while Fabian had a couple of mediocre hits in the 60s, this Fabian's had kind of a sour tune tonight, I'm afraid.
And the key is the 3 turnovers, and one of them was returned for a touchdown, which was something you really never want.
You like those songs by Fabian, didn't you?
Yeah, I like Fabian. That's back in my era.
He's a terrible actor, though. Gee. I just saw one of those surf movies the other night. That guy was awful. He was in a John Wayne movie one time. I said, Duke ought to just kick him right out of the saddle. Get him out of here. Bowden might get a first down on the quarterback sneak. I think he does. I just had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, you felt you must feel better here.
been a tough week in the first quarter.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
You're not missing anything. Minute left in the third quarter. First down, Florida State. First down at 15 now after the 5-yard walk-off. Play action for Bowden. He's going to take off with it, looking for a block. Ran right by a couple of tacklers. Goes far side's got a first down. What a run.
He's an athlete.
Yes, he is.
You just got to get the ball in his hands. And he was going, when you run all the way across field, you're looking for big things. He could have run up straight up ahead. He wouldn't have gotten as much, but he was trying to make big things happen.
He ran right by Thomas Clayton, who didn't throw a block for him. Watch number 31 come into your screening. Oh, no, it wasn't 31. It was Salvidio, the fullback. And kind of a Seneca Wallace look to it. Remember his touchdown run where he went all over the place?
Yeah. Back and forth, across, up.
First down at the 40-yard line. Bowden play action, wants it all. There we go. Throwing deep again. Thorpe pulled it down. Touchdown. Crafonzo Thorpe. And Anquan Bowden's caught one and he's thrown one. That's how you end the third quarter. Get your team right back in the football game. And whoa! 40-yard touchdown pass.
Thorpe is 6'2". Brian is 5'11". Not much of a difference, but he just out-jumped him. Just throw the ball up, one-on-one, and let us make a play on it.
And going for 2 points here. 23-13.
It's a 10-point game. They're trying to get it to 8.
So Anquan Bowden, that was not as good a pass as the one that Tallman Gardner had a shot at before halftime, but he'll take it. This one had a better result. Touchdown. He stays in there at quarterback, going for 2 in the shotgun.
Quarterback draw?
Could be.
I don't know, you got too many guys. You got a lot of guys in here.
Back to throw, buying some time. Now comes the pressure from Georgia. He does try to run for it. Oh boy, took a big shot in the head. And Chris Clemens said, you come my way, you're going to have to get hit.
Clemens has a number 48 on, but he's a linebacker.
Yes, he is.
He said, you ain't running over me.
He's a 237-pound linebacker who just knocked him out of bounds and prevented the 2-point conversion. But as the third quarter came to a close, it was Bowden to Thorpe. Touchdown. Florida State's back in it. And Anquan has been the #1 man for Florida State tonight. Greg Jones, the injured back, looking on. His Noles are back in it. ABC Sports presentation of college football returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Hug is happy. After 3 quarters, his Bulldogs 23-13. That's August 6.
How can you tell he's happy?
Well, he got that same look on his face pretty much all the time, but if I was treated as well as he is around the state of Georgia, I'd be happy.
He sits on that ice. You know,
yeah, I know.
Keeps cool.
He's a third-year junior out of Savannah, Georgia.
He's not a redshirt junior.
He's not a redshirt. He's a junior. Here's a kid, Gibson, about 7 yards deep. He'll take a knee. Back to the ground game. And now Smith taking would-be tacklers with him out of bounds. They barely got him down over there in front of the Georgia bench. Kendall Pope finally riding him out with Boulware. There's Mickey Andrews, longtime defensive coordinator, and of course Mark Richt, Georgia head coach now, but for so many years the offensive coordinator at Florida State. A lot of spring practices where those two minds were working against each other.
Good friends. You know, when Florida State lost Mark Richt, they not only lost an offensive coordinator, they lost a quarterback coach. Had to replace him with 2 guys.
And remember, Chuck Amato left that same time too, and what he's done at North Carolina State. They won their 11th game today. First time in school history NC State's won 11 games as they throttled Notre Dame. And so
let's go back and think. You know, Florida State, they've lost. They've been down a little bit the last couple of years. They've lost 2 pretty good coaches that have shown up at North Carolina State and Georgia.
Bobby's 73 years young. Says this week he wouldn't mind coaching until he was 80, but he said I can't guarantee that because the big guy upstairs will dictate how long I coach. The toss. Musa Smith with a convoy in front. He got the corner and more. First down, Bulldogs. Kendall Pope ran him out of bounds, but the big fella rumbled out.
I'm impressed.
Got a first.
Impressed with Musa Smith. You know, we don't get to see Georgia very often during the season, hardly at all. Watch from the end zone, from behind the defense. It's just going to be a toss. We've seen him run up inside with the power game. Now he's got the speed to get around the corner and pick up a first down. You know, when you do that, you take a chance on losing yardage, but with Musa, they know they can get it.
He got the first, and the clock running down near the 12-minute mark. Here he is again, and he got another hole. Musa Smith all the way down to the 23-yard line. And that puts him over 100 yet again on the season 900-yard plus game.
This is a big back. He's 6'2" and 225 pounds, and again, at blocking up front, 49 Wall, the fullback, doing the key block. It's just, I mean, you know, this, we mentioned this is the best offense in the SEC, and they can run the football, they can throw it, and they've got a line up front that just, you know, sets both of them up.
Play action, Greene going to the end zone, and almost intercepted. Close to being picked off by Bryant McFadden. It's the balance of Georgia's offense that seems to be so good. Here it is again as they go right back trying to get to the end zone through the air.
Well, this is who wants it the most right here.
Michael Johnson had his left hand on it. McFadden had both hands on it.
Almost had it.
Now that would be pretty difficult for the wide receiver to jump up and catch that ball, boys, because just too far over his head.
That was.
You have to be 7 feet tall to jump up and get that one.
It would have to be a Fred Gibson type catch. Milton. And Tony got to the 21-yard line, giving Musa Smith a little bit of a breather. Milton, an amazing story, kind of a strange family life growing up. Didn't spend that much time at home. There was a time even when he couldn't make the grades to be in college football that he had a job where a doctor gave him an SAT booklet as he worked his way back into college. He was living in his car at one time. He had a car, and that's all he had, so he stayed in the car. Mark Richt remembered recruiting him a long time ago. Said, "Coach, you have any place for me?" He said, "What position you want to play?" And he said, "I just want to contribute." And he is one of Mark Richt's favorite players, and he's a kid that's come through a lot of adversity. His family denies some of the things that he says about his parents when he was growing up, but it's been a tough go for him.
Well, Brad, when he was 9 years old, he and one of his older brothers saw his sister being spanked, and he refers to it as a beating, and they ran away from home for more than a couple of months. And he said from that moment on, for long periods of time, he just spent away from home, and thank God for other people who intervened.
Yep, and now he's on course to graduate as Billy Bennett knocks in another field goal. And Georgia has a 13-point lead, so Florida State knows they have their work cut out for them. They need a couple of touchdowns. 26-13.
This is a big deal for the University of Georgia. Florida State in past years, as we mentioned, at one streak had played in the national championship game 4 out of 5 years.
Yep.
In the late 90s, Georgia has not played in the Sugar Bowl in quite a while, not won the SEC championship in a while.
20-year droughts. Kerouac again knocks it in the end zone. Anquan, play action for him, fires down the middle. Nice strike there, and another first down. Out across the 35, out to the 38-yard line to Robert Morgan. Morgan's first catch, and another guy that had to come back from a knee injury of a year ago that kept him out all season.
Yep.
So the two wide receivers that would have been starters last year, both injured, and here they hook up one wide receiver to the other. And 4:42 remaining in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan with you from New Orleans. Georgia in command. Florida State still with a chance, though, but time is running out. Time's running out on Anquan Boldin. Is in that pocket. He's just not comfortable because Georgia has made him uncomfortable. Thomas Davis, his second sack of the game.
Davis just cannot be blocked by a back. They've got a back trying to block him. Davis is big as a linebacker. Just running right over the back.
5 sacks allowed, a season high allowed by Florida State. That Georgia pressure. Their defense has given a lot of guys headaches this year.
Bottom line is, if your offense is being run the quarterback by a wide receiver, they're not going to beat a team like Georgia.
Bolden dancing around, doing what he can. Got back near the original line of scrimmage. Tim Jennings knocked him off his pins. We're under 4 minutes. Swanee?
Well, Bob and Brad, there's one story I think is maybe the best story in college football, and that's around number 79, Todd Williams. Abandoned by his mother when he was 9 years old, raised by his grandmother. She passed away when he was 15, and he was homeless. In 1994, he said he was getting ready to steal some money out of a house when he saw Florida State playing in the national championship game. And he thought to himself, why can't I be like those football players and something good happen to me? He got some help along the way. Higgins, the offensive line coach, saw him playing and wanted to give him a scholarship. And he went to him and watched him play at high school. Came back, talked to Bobby Bowden. They offered him a scholarship. He came to Florida State to play football. This last December, he graduated from Florida State, not just with 1 degree, but 2 degrees, one in sociology and one in criminology. And so he is just a phenomenal story of the determination, and when a couple of people look at a young man and decide to help him and help him help himself, what a success story he can be.
Boy, no doubt about that, and he's become a heck of a player, and a 300 and almost 30-pounder. He's been one of the anchors on that offensive front for Bobby Bowden. And now Florida State's got to give it up. Punting time, 4th down. And a nice kick. Fair catch. Taken back inside the 15-yard line by Sean Jones. Here's our Dodge defensive playbook in this one.
Show you what some of these defensive coordinators, these schemers, come up with. A linebacker right here, another linebacker right here. They're both going to blitz to the outside. Watch them come. They both blitz outside. Now both of the backs, these two guys in the white shirts, are going to block the outside guy, leaving this one inside here, the delay guy, coming in to blitz and sack the quarterback. when both linebackers don't blitz right away, the backs go to the one that is coming, and those defensive linebackers, defensive coordinators, they come up with a lot of sneaky ways to. It's like a cat and mouse game.
Yep.
The backs a lot of times will check the linebackers and release, and then the linebackers will wait till the back checks and releases, and then they'll delay blitz.
Here's one of those schemers, defensive coordinator
Yeah.
Mickey Andrews.
Yeah.
Timeout taken by Florida State. Kevin Breedlove has started more games than anybody in Georgia history. John Stinchcomb 1 game behind him as a starter. Those big fellas up front. Stinchcomb was going to join his brother Matt in the National Football League and have to put a career in medicine on hold. He's a microbiology major and an academic All-American. So some of those guys will go on to the next level and play some pro football. Florida State rather. There's been some talk about some of their guys. They're more than normally going to have all their guys still around. Michael Boulware's made some talk about wanting to switch to safety next year.
Well, he's 6'3" and about 220. He's more of a safety size than a linebacker.
Yeah. And his brother Peter, of course, has given him some good advice. That's good to have a big brother. Peter's All-Pro with the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL. 2:20 remaining in the ball game. Georgia using every second it can and then tossing it to its big back Smith. And he's brought down in the open field by Brian McFadden. He got 6 more, though, and that'll work it down under a couple minutes. Want to thank some of the folks that help bring you the ball games all year. As Uga barks on, Clint Dean's our spotter, Pat McGrath our statistician, Joe Caracone's our technical manager, our production managers Mike Heskett, Andre Dawson our computer operator, Kay Schumacher our graphics coordinator, computer statisticians Anthony Holman, assistants to the producer Ross Malloy and touchdown Tommy Hall, Steve Fettig's our associate director, our associate producers Eric Posman, Randy Hargrove's our technical director. Our games directed all year by Steve Bime and produced by Bruce Clark. The punt upcoming.
Great job, everybody.
Great job. And here's the one hopper fielded by Leon Washington. And Washington still on his feet on the punt return. And he got down to about the 37-yard line. But our team is like a family. And we've seen everything from twins born to Steve Bime, our director, to new engagements. And it's been a blast, guys. Everybody being together again this year.
Enjoyed it.
Bowden, play action, running for his life. Anquan finally just throws it, got out of the pocket and snapped that thing down. So I'm going to live to play another day.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, not taking many snaps. That's Daryl Dickey, the quarterback coach, giving him the next play. Anquan really wants to be a wide receiver. As mentioned earlier, he came to Florida State. Other teams wanted him to be a wide receiver, and he wanted to be a quarterback. But then he changed that very quickly. And
I bet he'd be happy to be back at wide receiver next spring.
That's the best position for him. But he's all right with doing this for one game as a fill-in.
Here comes a delayed blitz, and almost threw an interception there. And Tim Jennings thought he had one. Well, the Bulldog faithful, they'll, I guess, hang around at least another day before the parties begin in Athens. As they're not only going to be the SEC champions, they'll be the Nokia Sugar Bowl champions, too. And from the days of Vince Dooley, when it seemed like, talked to Coach Dooley the other day, I said, Vince, I remember 80 when you won the national title, and you had 3 Sugar Bowls in a row. And he said, well, Brad, he said, it's been a long, dry spell, and now, again, we're hungry dogs. Obviously, 2-down territory. Bowden throws on the run, completes it, and spinning away and down the sideline, Nick Maddox. I don't know how Nick got out of that would-be tackle that would have been about a 2-yard gain. Instead, he spins for 13, and he gets out of bounds.
He is a good receiver. In fact, has played wide receiver some. He just can't block Davis, number 10, but broken tackle here. Another one there. Get down to a first down inside the 20.
90 seconds left. Trailing 26-13. Florida State.
Need a quick touchdown.
And they know it from the 19. They're in the red zone at least. Bowden flares it out. Maddox got one-on-one out there, and a nice job of holding on. Corey Bryant dropped him for a loss.
This is the area of the field you don't have a lot of room to work with, and this is where an experienced quarterback has trouble fitting the ball in when you're dropping 7, 8 guys back, let alone a guy that's been playing wide receiver all year. So you got to be careful.
Remember, Florida State's out of timeouts. Clock is winding down to a minute. Bowden from the gun. Trying to find a handle on the ball, and now trying to imitate Michael Vick, and it ain't going to work. And Pollock got him. Davis was there to help.
Pollock is the player of the year in the Southeastern Conference, led the conference in sacks and tackles for losses.
First time a defensive player's won player of the year overall in the SEC since Tracy Rocker at Auburn in the late 80s.
And he's just a sophomore, a true sophomore.
28 yards to pick up a first down now on third. Bowden, time running out on Florida State. Going deep. He's got a man out there. Broken up. It was Gardner again, but nice close by Tim Jennings, who closed the gap and broke it up.
Well, if you're Florida State, that's all you can ask for is just a single one-on-one in the end zone. Jennings does a nice time it. Jennings is only 5'8". If Gardner could have gotten up early and got over Jennings, he could have maybe caught the football.
So one play left for Florida State. Only 16 seconds left too, and already the fans are chanting for Georgia. The players are gathering around Mark Richt. They know it. It's inevitable now, regardless probably the outcome of this play. Bowden on 4th and 28, going to the end zone again, and this one is intercepted by Sean Jones, and here comes a cold night for Mark Richt here in a minute. And they got him. They got him. Right on that brand new haircut. And then he said, "Get off the field."
Yeah.
The beginning of the season, he told his kids, you know what? We're going to start a new wall with all the pictures of SEC champions way back to 1942 and all the championships since. He said, I want everybody to get full pads. We're going to get a picture because when we win the SEC championship and go on and win the Sugar Bowl, we're putting that picture up against all the other ones.
Wearing the silver breeches.
Wearing the silver breeches. And now they know they can put on silver hats because they're going to be the Nokia Sugar Bowl champions. They're one snap away. And no Georgia team has ever won 13 games in a single season, but now they have. Our congratulations to Mark Richt and the Bulldogs. They are the champions of the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. The mentor, the pupil, and the young gun got the old man tonight. Bobby Bowden says, I think of him as a son. Mark Richt said, no one other than my father has had a bigger impact on my life than Coach Bowden. But tonight, the student gets the master. Let's check in with Swanee.
Thank you, Brad. Mark, congratulations. I know emotionally and for the history of Georgia, this has to have been a tremendous win for you.
It was big. It was big. I'm proud of everybody. I'm thankful for the victory. I'm thankful to Bobby Bowden still. He's still the teacher, and I love him dearly, but I love Georgia, and I'm real proud of these guys.
Well, you're a very humble man. But this turnaround for this Georgia football team, everyone has told me it's the little things you've done for this football team. Why is it they've responded to you so well?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. These guys are great ball players. I brought in a great staff. I mean, these guys are coaching their rear ends off, and the players are responding.
Well, Coach, congratulations. We know that it's just the beginning for you. We look to see you at a lot more bowl games down the road.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Brad?
So they are the SEC champs, the Nokia Sugar Bowl champs. He's embraced Athens, and Athens has embraced him. Mark Richt wins the Nokia Sugar Bowl 26-13. We'll be right back. So many big moments for Georgia. The big interception against South Carolina that won a game. They beat Alabama for the first time. They had a big fourth down play against Kentucky. They beat Auburn in the waning seconds. They beat Arkansas silly in the SEC Championship. And now tonight they beat Florida State in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. Our final score: Georgia 26, Florida State 13. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Don't forget, Thursday night, the FedEx Orange Bowl. USC will take on Iowa. And Friday, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. #1 Miami, #2 Ohio State for all the chips for the national championship. 26-13 is our final score. For my partners, Lynn Swan and Bob Greasy, I'm Brad Nessler from the Superdome in New Orleans. Congratulations. The 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl champs are the Georgia Bulldogs.